Hello, 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 family. Thank you for hanging out with me. Today, I am happy to announce that it is International Men's Health Week. I have been waiting on this week for, oh my gosh, all year long, but it's been Men's Health Month the entire month of June, and it will continue to be Men's Health Month. But this particular week is special because it is International Health Week. I would say all over the world, but it hasn't quite caught on all over the world. It's been in effect since the 90s. So we need to continue to grow. That said, I want to check out a very famous poem, and I want you to listen to it with me. It is If by Kipling. Let me know if you know this. It's very good, and I think it's very powerful. And I think it is fitting for the moment that we're in.
If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools, if you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe a word about your loss, if you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there's nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings nor lose the common touch, if all men count with you, if neither foes nor loving friends count on you, but none too much, if you can feel the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a man, my son. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men...
I find that to be an incredibly powerful poem. It blows me away. It absolutely blows me away every time I hear it. Just FYI, I am a fan of poetry, both classic works and original works. I love that stuff. I love beautiful literature, and it doesn't matter if it's famous or not. So that's just a thing of mine. Anyway, I wanted, speaking of someone who loves literature, hello, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing good, Coach. How you doing?
Fine, fine, fine. I just got done playing If by Kipling.
That is a really, really good poem.
I know. Don't you think it's fitting for the moment right now?
Very much so. Very much so.
Mm-hmm. The whole thing for global positive masculinity is lifting up men and giving them something positive to measure up to, but at the same time, not ripping away manhood as they grow in these positive traits. So yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I do too.
So have you been thinking much about your journey? Your speech is going to be a man's self-worth. I must say that I am very much looking towards what you have to say. Um, so often men are simply judged on three basic things: provide, protect, and sexual conquest. Could you imagine looking at your son and telling him that's all he was going to be measured by? And that was what he was going to be boiled down to.
I couldn't even imagine advocating for that nonsense.
But that is the reality of what I think society in general and what what men are often boiled down to.
Oh, absolutely. It's a social expectation. It's what you would consider being socialized from birth to acknowledge. We're even, boys are even picked up 30% slower in the crib when we cry as compared to our sisters. So I mean, it starts at a
Now
very
that's
young
new
age.
information to me. Wow, I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
yeah, that was done in a study not too long ago.
Wow. Huh. I wonder, I wonder why that is. What are we doing when we do that?
I don't know, other than to perhaps make an assumption
Mhm.
that many people wouldn't like, but some of it could be we start to try and harden up our boys from birth, or we just don't care that much about them.
Hmm. I don't think it's that we don't care about them. I think your first guess is probably right.
I'm in alignment with my first guess, but there are some that will say the second.
Okay. Okay. All I'm going to say is I hope that's not true. But you know what? Those who advocate for the second, why do you think they're saying that?
Because to them, there's enough evidence that the world doesn't care about them.
Hmm.
For the most part, we're expected to do all the things. We're expected to die. We're expected to protect and defend our country and our family and our communities. We are
Hmm.
conscripted into military service. We're meant to feel like we are expendable.
Wow. Huh. That's very interesting. I definitely hear your perspective um, on that, and I find it heartbreaking. But to your point, maybe men do feel like they're expendable because they're certainly treating one another and treating society as if it is can be tossed away. And I'm not saying every single man. What I'm referring to is the high rate of suicide and homicide that is happening amongst men. That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sorry, I'm at work, so I'm having a hard time making the connection. But we can. There's so many aspects to male culture that it's really hard to narrow down on one thing. But many of the situations are socio or cultural based, where we are. That's what we're shown from a very early age. That's what we are taught, and so that's what we soak up, and that's what we act out.
Mm-hmm. 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 Well, you want to know something? You and we talked about this idea that men, even when they have their fathers there is often an emotional disconnect.
Right. Well, I mean that's because our fathers are preparing us for what their fathers prepared them for, and their fathers prepared them for, which was disposability.
Hmm. And you want to know
You
something?
don't have to suffer the loss of your son if you didn't care about him in the first place. And
Oh, oh
that
God.
yeah, that's part of the problem, is that, for all time and eternity, it was expected that men were to go off and do battle and die. So much so that our entire honor system is built off of that premise. So what was more beneficial to you than to raise a child that was capable of fighting, right? So you didn't dishonor your family, but then you would keep somewhat of a psychological distance from them so that you didn't hurt too much when they didn't come home.
Huh. I don't know. That really hit me with what you said. Do you think that's a Western thing, or do you think that's all over the world?
No, it's evidence everywhere. Every culture everywhere has some form of idea of male disposability. Every single one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're having someone speak on the idea of how men in the East show affection versus men in the West show aggression when they connect with one another. I've been told this story of men in the East, when they greet one another, they even kiss on the cheek, or even a man and his son of a certain age. Like in the West, if a son was holding his dad's hand at the age of 17, it would be an odd thing. And that's in the West, but in the East, if that was happening, that would not be unusual at all.
Right, that can be stretched up to just purely cultural differences.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I believe it's cultural differences.
Yeah, but there's also some ways in which our culture is also closer to our males than they are. Though I can't think of one right off the bat because I'm kind of caught off guard by the question. And again, I'm at work, so I'm in work mode.
Right.
But give me a minute, and I'll be able to think of one.
Okay. Well, that's fair enough. I'll let you put that in the back of your mind. Another thing that we are having come up, we're talking about modern male insecurity. Really looking forward to this. 𝐭𝐬𝐬𝐻 is talking about this subject, and he is covering the gamut of this, from the workplace to marriage and in the family. He's really going to dive deep in this. He's even going to talk about age.
Yeah, I'm really excited for his. Well, I'm excited for everybody's discussions, but I'm specifically excited for his because I'm interested to see and talk and question him on his perception of it. Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. I'm like you. I'm excited about everybody for a bunch of different reasons. Like when I look at one, I go, oh, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Oh, here's another one. Oh my God. So I'm definitely getting a lot of that. Here's something that's sensitive. It's male rape is real. So we're going to talk about what are some of the effects of being raped when you're a man. Not that it doesn't affect you in the same way it would affect a female, but at the same time, I don't know that when women stop feeling like a woman because they've been raped, but I have heard that men feel as if they've lost their masculinity when they've been raped.
Yeah, I'm torn on that entire subject because I know that it needs to be discussed,
Right.
but I am not excited for it at all. Like I would much rather make it through the night without crying. But I doubt that's going to happen. And I think if we're going to be talking about, we are going to be talking about it, but since we're going to be talking about it, I think we ought to probably all mentally prepare ourselves for what we're going to hear. I know I am.
I think it's just, do you know that up until, I think it was 2000, maybe 2015, 16, but in the 2000s, there wasn't something called there wasn't rape for men. Did you know that?
I did, because the problem is that the definition at the time did not include what it would take to rape a boy or a man, which is previously it was held only that penile penetration would be considered rape. And that's just simply not the only way that you can be raped, which many states have now gone back and changed the laws so that any penetration whatsoever or any sex act committed for the pleasure of another person under the age can be considered a rape, which I am ecstatic that they've changed those. And that's why a lot of the rape statistics changed drastically in the last 5 to 10 years, is because we've actually changed the definition of what rape is to be included on these studies.
I think that's really important. As a matter of fact, Dr. Gregory Williams, he experienced this. So he has a personal testimony about this. He talked about, he has a very powerful journey about how it affected his masculinity, how it affected his emotional health. And that's his thing. It affected him more emotionally than sexually. It affected his ability to connect. And I found that incredibly powerful. He actually has a book about his journey, Shattered by the Darkness. And then he has an upcoming second book that goes a little bit deeper, hiding in the darkness. But he's going to really tell us how he bounced back. And I shouldn't even say that, how he navigated his trauma. That's really what he's going to do. He's going to talk to us about how he navigated his trauma and how he's healing, because it did not affect his success, so to speak. He, he's a doctor and he's an administrator at Baylor College of Medicine. So his career is exceptional. And then in most recent years, he became the host of a very successful radio show, along with becoming a best-selling author. So it had nothing to do with his financial success. It had a lot to do with how he connected with people and how he felt as a human. And if you take a look at this picture, you will see that there's this image of him. He has this great, big, happy smile. And he said, that's Mr. Baylor College of Medicine. Hey, how are you? How is your day? And then this other picture is more like him and how he's truly feeling so many days in the inside, and connecting that to the little boy who's truly shattered. I want to welcome David. Hi, David. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Great, David. David meets Steve. Steve meets David. We're commemorating and celebrating that it is International Men's Health Day. I'm very excited about that.
I am too.
Well, and I said day, it's International Men's Health Week. Did you even know that this existed, David? I'm just curious.
I did not.
When did you find out? When I told you?
I just found out. Actually, not today, but when you emailed me about this.
Got it. I like this. There's a new phrase. It goes, I was today years old when I found out. Right? So you weren't quite today years old, but you were near that. I'm doing my very best to spread the word and keep people focused and lifted up,
Absolutely.
Often, do you pay attention to your health, David?
I do. I try to, at least.
Yeah. Do you go to the doctor? You have a standing doctor's appointment?
I do. But also I just got back on that. So I'm definitely getting back on the horse with that. With my health, especially with my mental health, and just my overall well-being.
I think that's great. I think that's absolutely wonderful, and I commend you for doing that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
What prompted you to do it?
Well, for one, I was getting older and I had just finished college, so I just knew that I needed to kind of just like fend for, I knew that I would have to eventually start fending for myself because I know my parents aren't going to be here forever. So I just needed to buckle down and make sure that, hey, you need to like take care of yourself. That's really what it was.
Do you have kids, David?
No, I don't.
Well, that's even better because what you're doing is you're preparing yourself for when they do come.
Yeah.
I didn't start going to a therapist until my third child, and he was 12.
Wow.
But I noticed a massive difference in the way that I was fathering when I had proper mental health care access versus before. Super kind of a toxic, man up kind of a
mentality.
Yeah. And it did not, it created a situation where my son and I were like, oil and water. And it was just really bad. And then I started going to therapy and I started understanding why I felt that way. And then I started doing a lot more of the mental health stuff.
Right.
I started to even further into it. Now it's, we have a great relationship. We can talk, we can connect, and it's not so caustic and divisionary.
That's great. I actually like engage in a lot of like self-reflection with myself. So I think that's why I am the way that I am. And also I feel like I've just met so many people and just interact. I said in a previous show that I was very grateful for interaction during the pandemic because I got to meet so many people. And even when I went to college, I got to meet so many people that weren't from the city that I was from. And so I just got to learn about different people, learn about where they're from, learn about how they grew up. And it was just a very cool experience.
Do you think that you would know if one of your friends had a mental health problem?
I would say yes and no, because there are obvious signs of insecurity. I would say mental insecurity, or I'm not sure if insecurity is the right word.
Mental health struggles.
Yes, thank you. Mental health struggles, and there are not so obvious signs of it.
Do you think that how can I put this? What would you say, and this is to both of you guys, Steve and David, what would you say to a friend or a guy friend in particularly that you notice, hey, something's really going on?
I would say, hey, bro, are you okay? Like, are your mentals good? How's everything at home? Like, how are you doing? Like, what have you been up to? And if there's anything out of the ordinary within their routine or their just like overall mood, I would ask.
I mean, I feel that there might be some pushback, I think, when you tell somebody that you're concerned about them. I feel like there just might be some pushback.
Every time. Absolutely. Every time. Like, they would assure you, oh no, bro, I'm good. Like, everything's good. And most of the time, things aren't good. So you have to pry.
Right. Now that I'm thinking of this, I feel like I need training. I need to re-engage. Like, what do you do? What do you say? And I know a lot depends on relationship, but I wonder if there is a general best practice.
Well, for guys, it's kind of a broad range. It just depends on what your circle of friends are like. Like my group of friends, they can be like, yeah, they look up, you're not the same, right? And then you'll be like, oh, I'm fine, and they'll be like, oh, bullshit.
Yeah,
they'll like call you on it, and they'll push you like until you break down and you just admit that something's wrong. But there's other friends groups where it's not going to be that way. It's just going to be, hey, you okay? Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's true.
And so you gotta learn the guy that you're talking to and see what he responds to. And also building a golden bridge, right? So what that means is building a bridge for him in the future to come to you if he feels like something can be discussed with you. And you can never freak out about whatever they tell you. You got to hold the secrets in. You got to be a person of integrity.
Right.
And
you have
a lot
to
of those
not judge them when they come to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
You just have to be open. That's it.
I have a question. If you thought that someone was going to, I hate to say it, but had a level of frustration where they might actually go out and shoot several people, I mean, how would you approach that?
That's a difficult question. So it depends
I don't think we know what to do.
It is.
I
do. I just don't like having to admit it. The first thing I would do is I would try to reach out to them and see what was going on and be like, hey, I know what you're doing.
Right.
But that also puts you in the firing line too.
Yeah. And also I think it would have to be like, you can't let that person out of your sight, because that gives them time to plan. So first of all, you would have to spend time with that person, like almost every waking moment with that person, so that you make sure that they are not only okay, but like not harming themselves or having signs of wanting to hurt anybody else.
And I know this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but if it's a credible enough situation that you don't feel like you can resolve, you need to turn to the authorities.
Right. Yeah.
Because if something does happen,
that's unpopular?
Because snitches get stitches.
Right.
Men learn not to snitch on each other, and a lot of guys aren't going to like that response. But I'll tell you what, the family of the people that your friend kills will thank you. They'll thank you for at least acknowledging that something happened, that you were aware, that you tried. The police will be thankful even if they weren't able to act on it, because they'll at least be able to say, well, we have a good idea of what happened. Psychologists and people who study the case later on will thank you, because there's a timeline, there's a history of situations. It's just better all the way around, better for everybody, not to mention for yourself, because if you know that your friend's going to do something and you do nothing, you can be held accountable.
Right. Like you're almost an accomplice.
Yep.
Right. So let's go there. Snitches get stitches. But when I look at that and I compare that to being your brother's keeper, why would I let you harm yourself or the people you love? Why would I let you do that? Why would
that's what I'm saying. You've got to weigh it. You've got to weigh it. Like if there's a credible threat, screw it. Get the stitches, take the punch, whatever you got to do. But you owe it to those people who are still living right now to do something. Like,
absolutely,
you're a piece of trash if you didn't do anything to stop your friend from harming them. So in that sense, you gotta be smart about it and weigh your decisions appropriately, because if you break that dude's trust and he was not going to do something, he will never talk to you again.
Yeah, that's true.
I definitely see how you're right in that. So in weighing that decision, what kind of things should one consider then?
I would say constantly checking in on your friend because you care about them. And honestly, I see my friends as literally as brothers. So
Mm-hmm.
I would literally be my brother's keeper, and I would constantly check in on them, spend time with them, talk to them, things of that nature, because I would hope that they would do the same for me.
It
There,
definitely is a slippery slope. I'm looking at this from, the the snitches get stitches side, and I'm looking at it from the being your brother's keeper side. And then
Mhm.
I'm also factoring in that most men have their own families and their own stuff.
Right. It could be a heavy burden for them.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so maybe they don't talk about it with their family. But who's your support system if you can't go to your family?
So would it be wrong to bring somebody else in to this process? Like if you had a mutual friend, wait a minute, I think I know the answer to this already, but like, would it be okay to tell their wife?
I I'm not married, so I'm not sure if I should be the one to answer.
I
um,
mean, but one day you might be a husband, okay?
That is true.
So what, I mean,
my
I'm curious,
opinion is
what do
yeah.
your instincts say?
My opinion is yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
it's okay to tell their
Um,
wife.
well, I mean, you got to know the wife. I mean,
That's it.
if she's the kind of person that's not going to be helpful, probably not a good idea. Or maybe she's the one causing the harm.
Hmm.
Now,
Maybe
that's a
you
very good
shouldn't
point.
be. Maybe you shouldn't be telling her. But what I can tell you is, if he has a loving and caring wife, yeah, you need to tell her.
Right. Because
Okay.
she'll be the one that'll understand.
I love that question. You need to figure out whether or not the wife would be helpful in the first place. Because if the wife is not going to add to the situation, add value to the situation, then they shouldn't be told. Welcome, Sugar Ray. How are you?
I am good. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Um, we're having ourselves a little radio program here, and we're talking about all the fabulous things about men's mental health. And no, let me get it right. International Men's Mental Health Week. Okay, first of all, it's been Men's Mental Health Month all month long. And who we have here, we have Steve, and we have David, and of course we have you. Let me see if I can get yours up here. Bam. Here we go.
I know that.
Mentorship, masculinity, and mental health. I'll tell you the question that's on the table right now, but so you can maybe weave this into your answer. But the question that's on the table is: should a guy's friend tell the wife if he believes that there is a mental health issue that might actually cause harm?
I don't. That's a tough one. Because again, it kind of goes into into bro code just depending on what that issue is. Now, if it's if it's something that is harmful or damaging to members of the family, to the wife, to the children, then absolutely, you do want to make sure that that you let the woman know, hey, something's going on, and I really think it's an issue that you all should go in and seek help. But I wouldn't phrase it as, you want to go and get help for him. You all want to go and get help and seek some type of family counseling, and then that would allow them the opportunity to help the man who's having those mental health issues. And then, you know, once they're in with the professional counselor, mental health specialist, then I'm pretty sure that counselor would recommend those services for the man. So it's an iffy one. If the intentions are right, absolutely. If it's for the woman's safety, for the family's safety, for the man's safety, then yeah. But it should be an open conversation. I wouldn't depending on the relationship that the type of relationship that those friends and that family has. If it's, you know, if he's just meeting the wife, he shouldn't just, you know, pull her to the side because that can be taken in the wrong way. But if it's done
Mm.
then if it's done properly, if they have a strong relationship, you know, the families have relationships together where they can talk privately, husband talk to the other wife, the, you know, wife talk to the other husband, then that makes sense. But if it's just, you know, the guy interfering, and I speak from experience, you want to be careful who you allow into your home, especially when it comes down to a marriage, because the wrong people have horrible intentions and can ruin a great thing.
So I like that point that you just made. Like in the situation, if the guy is single
Mhm.
and he goes to another man's wife, that really could create a hiccup, a situation of, I'm just gonna say maybe impropriety or something like that.
Mhm.
Like a hostile environment.
Yeah, a hostile environment. So it would be smart to have a female, a mhm, a
And
woman
it's
by
not
your
it's
side
not
there.
it's not necessarily that it has to be a woman there, but it has to be, the intentions have to be pure. And
Mhm.
like I say, from very recent experience, when you are surrounded by people that have ill intentions towards your relationship, then you get kind of iffy on any information that's being delivered.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm a huge fan of, if you're married, get away from single people, and not that they're not good for you, but if that man is single and he's coming to, if it was a single man that was coming to my wife, um, one, I don't know you. I don't know what your, I may know you, but I don't know what your intentions are, because you still have this you have this single machismo around you. Um and so there needs to be, if that conversation is going to come up and this is an actual friend, that conversation needs to be had in front of the male and the female at the same time. Like, hey, you know what? Um, bro, you are, you know, we've been friends for however long, and I wanted to bring this up. I'm bringing it to you first as the man, but also I think it's something that needs to be discussed with your wife.
Right.
And
It's like
that's because,
establishing boundaries.
there you go. Though without boundaries in any relationship, you're setting it up for failure.
Let me flip the
It's
script then. Let me flip the script, and I'm gonna say the wife comes to you, okay? And I'm gonna pose this question first to Steve if he can answer it. Um, Only because he's actually had to navigate some of these types of tough situations before. A wife comes to you, Steve, and she says, I think my husband is in trouble mentally. What is some of the first steps that a good friend can take?
listen intently. Take notes if you need to. Ask if it's okay that you talk to your friend. Ask them if they're in a, well, Let me think about that for a second.
Yeah, and your mic's kind of. I think it's because of where you where you are. Um, Sugar Ray, I'm going to come back to you. David, I do know you're not married, but I still want to know your opinion because Sugar Ray, I think you're going to have the icing on the cake. So, David, I'd like to hear your thoughts.
I think that it would be best to talk to, first of all, establish what's going on with the wife or from the wife's perspective, find out what's going on from her, and then from there, hopefully there's no malice between for talking to the wife first from the from the friend's perspective, and then once you start talking to the friend, you say, "Hey, I spoke to your wife. She said that you haven't been doing well mentally. Is there anything going on, or is there anything different that you've been doing, or is there anything that you've been feeling that doesn't feel uh, all right?" Because I don't like using the word normal because I feel like there is no normal. I feel like there's things that we do that are part of our routine. And I don't think that there is a normal for anybody, really.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
I
like
think I
that.
can answer a little bit better now, Coach. First of
Mm-hmm.
all, just talk to the wife, see if there's first and foremost, see if they feel that he is suicidal. Um,
Okay.
Second of all, ask how you can help,
Mm-hmm.
and ask if you want me to talk to them. And then also on top of that, you got to try and be respectful of the man's privacy too. So when you come to him, don't come at him like, "Hey, your wife told me all this deeply personal information about you."
Mm. Yeah,
Just
that's true.
don't budge on him. Just be like, "Dude, I know something's not right. Like, what's going on? What can I help with? You can talk to me. We're good. This shit, it's not going to go past you and me." Um, but if you're going to kill yourself, you're going to piss me the fuck off. Excuse my language. But that's how
Oh,
you're going to talk to your friend.
mm.
Yeah,
You
that's
know what
true.
I mean? You don't bullshit a man. Like it's disrespectful. You come at him like a man, and he'll respond like a man, and he'll talk. If he doesn't talk, then you still got more work to do. Another thing too is, again, you've got to build those golden bridges. You've got to build a bridge to the future where if he does feel like he's suicidal, he can come to you, and he knows that you're not going to say anything, because he might not say anything to you today, but he'll wait a couple of weeks, see if you talk to his friends and his homies. And if they don't say nothing, if they're not ribbing him or making fun of him, then he knows that you didn't say anything. Now he knows that you're trustworthy. Now he knows he can talk to you.
Right.
The work is the groundwork for a trusting friendship is now laid. I wish my friend Chris would have came to me, but he didn't. And I'm still pissed off at him to this day, but it doesn't do a whole lot of good because he's dead.
Mm. Mm.
Had his wife known that he was going to do that, and had she come to any of us, we would have been on that like stink on shit. You know what I mean? We would have been there for him. But he chose to hide it. He chose to conceal his pain and his sadness and his depression, and decided to end it without talking to anybody. And that's probably the most hurtful part about it.
Well, Sugar Ray and you guys, men don't talk the way they don't share. You guys aren't real transparent with one another. It's more uncommon than it is common.
That's an
You're
understatement.
absolutely right.
But you got us. You got us.
It all
So
depends on the relationship too. Just like he was saying, if this is that relationship where I know, we've been down 100 grand strong, and no matter what happens, you still got my back, then I'm gonna talk. Um, Recent situations that I've went through. Luckily, I had those men in my life that I know, I can go to you in even in my most weak, my most vulnerable moment. And yeah, you're gonna tell me to suck it up. But at the same time, you're gonna be like, bro, you're gonna get through this. And this is how I got through certain situations, or if you need me, I'm here. And as a man, if the wife was to come to me, and I can't speak for everybody, but if a man's wife that I'm close to came to me and was like, hey, yeah, 9 times out of 10 the conversation, your boy tripping. You need to holler at him because this is what's going on. And so I'm gonna ease into that conversation, like, bro, let's go shoot some pool. Let's go get something to eat. And let's just sit down and talk. And as we're talking, I'll bring it up in conversation, like slowly, to bring certain things out, like, how's the family going, how's the wife, how's life. And as he starts picking up on, oh, I can't get past this, then there may be a point that he tries to hide what he's going through. And I'm gonna be
Right.
like, bro, I've known you for years. This ain't nothing. You're not talking to somebody that don't know you. You're not talking to somebody that ain't been through something with you. Like, we've been down. So like, what's really going on is gonna be the conversation, and I'm gonna ask those questions to really get him to open up, because in my younger years it would have been a harsher tone, just like bro just said, hey, you fucking up. What the hell? What's going on with this? Whereas
Right.
now it's going to be more of, listen, I know it's something going on. You ain't gotta beat around the bush with me. I'm your brother. And I'm going to approach it like that, because, and I'm gonna say, the reason that I'm coming to you is because I'm concerned. And not only am I concerned, but if I got to, I'll pull up. I don't care if you are in New York and I'm in Texas. I'll find a way to get to you if I really care. And that's the difference. Because if a wife comes to a friend to let him know, hey, something's going on, then she's genuinely showing concern. And so it's our job as men to approach it with our brothers, um, however we gotta handle it. If we gotta handle it nicely and be, hey, I know everything is going on, but once you smell once you smell that they're not being authentic, then it's time to take the niceness off and put those big boy gloves on. Like, look, if we got to fight right now, we're gonna get through this conversation. But
Right.
you're not gonna cheat me out of a good friend because you were too scared to let it out. That's what I'm here for.
Wow.
That
I
tough
love what
love.
he's putting down right now. I love it.
Yeah.
That tough
That,
love is necessary sometimes.
that was good stuff. And so, being that you are Mr. Mentorship, right, in masculinity, I need to switch it over to our young guys, because I definitely feel like there is something special that happens to a guy right around the age of maybe like 15 and, well, no, I'm going to even 17, like, 16, 17. They
13.
lose their mind.
Right.
13.
13 is when they lose their mind, but I guess there's a different kind of lose their mind, is what I'm saying.
Well, as
So,
soon as most boys enter into the age where we start seeing male roles being pushed further, that's when you see it.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
so I'm going to give a scenario. We can certainly tackle the younger guy scenario, but I want to throw this scenario out there. Um, young man, highly intelligent young man, refuses to equip himself. A very talented mother, a mother who equips him with what he needs, needs in order to be functional. A mother who's straight with him. Okay, she doesn't pull any punches with him. She calls a spade all the way through. Okay, he don't have to hide anything. The dad is in the picture, but the dad is his health isn't where it needs to be. Okay, and what the mother continuously notices is the kid refuses to live up to his potential. We need some advice there. What's going on?
There is what you'll run into with young men where there's no father in the home is that
Mm-hmm.
they're always looking for their dad. They're
Mm-hmm.
always looking for their dad. And so here's one thing that I discovered when working in the schools when I was really active, like I want to say about 5 days a week at the schools. The kids that were getting in trouble and that weren't being in their potential were either kids that were coming from those single parent homes. They were coming from homes where it wasn't single parent, but maybe it was messed up parenting. And when I say messed
Mm-hmm.
up parenting, there's weed smoking, there's drinking, there's fighting all the time. That's just basic dysfunction. Um, one one kid to this day, it breaks my heart because the guy had so much. When I say potential, great
Mm-hmm.
athlete, straight A honor roll student, up until seventh grade. His father came home from a long stay away. We'll just call it that. Um, and came back with a different mentality. And when he came home, the father was really abusive towards the son. The father was always putting the son down. The father was always saying what he couldn't be. And his grades, they stayed level for a little bit and then they just started dropping.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of trouble that the young man was getting into escalated. It was almost like now he was looking for an outlet that he didn't have because his father took away his freedom to be a man. And so when you run into those homes, or when you run into those situations where a young man is not living up to his potential, a few things are happening. One, uh, unpopular opinion, but truth. A woman cannot raise a man to be a man.
Mm-hmm.
That's unpopular opinion, but it's so many times you'll see it. Some women have been very successful, but a lot of times, um, that man is looking for a male role model. Second thing is if you're running into that situation, then find that young man a mentor. Find him somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's successful in the field that he says he wants to go into. Because during that time period, during that age, a lot of things change. My son, when he was between 7 and 10 years old, I want to be a gamer. I want to make video games. One of my friends, great friend, met him in Toastmasters, Sean Barton. He owns a video game company where they make video games. White guy out of Canada. I took my son to sit down and talk with him. The guy gave him about an hour and a half of of his time and walked him through the video game production. He talked about coding. He said, if you want to be a coder, you're going to need a lot of math in your background. The other parts of being a video game production is there's the animators. If you're going to be an animator, you got to be a great artist. My son gravitated to being an animator and said, that's what I want to do. He's changed since then. Even though he had somebody, but he had a focus that he was given, because I'm not going anywhere. If his mom calls me at 2 o'clock in the morning and says, "Hey, he's acting up," guess what? I'm on the road. It's only an hour and about 15 minutes away. I will be there at 3:15. That's all you had to let me know. So I'm very active in my son's life, but a lot of men are not. Even though they're there, they're still trying to figure manhood out for themselves, because maybe they didn't have an active male role model in their home. Maybe they didn't see what a good father looks like. Maybe they didn't see what a good man who wasn't in and out of the system was dealing with. So that young man has no level of he doesn't have anything that he can emulate. So he's constantly doubting, especially if he's around a man who, I'll say, like you said, the man's health is slowly fading, because now he's starting to doubt. His Superman is gone. My Superman, my hero, the person that I looked up to, is now non-existent because he found his kryptonite. So when you run into a situation with a young man who is not reaching his full potential, you have to get him connected to, there's male mentoring programs out there. Make sure that you check out the people that are in those male mentoring programs, because just because they say it's a male mentoring program does not mean they have the best intentions. Caution is always a word that I use when it comes down to anything that you're looking into. You also want to, if you can't find a good male mentoring program, find a good coach. Find a sport that the child is interested in. Find different camps. Give them
enroll them in martial arts.
Yeah, put them in martial arts. A lot of men,
or just find a hobby.
A hobby, yeah. We're task oriented. Find something that he gravitates to. And when you find something that he gravitates to, begin to celebrate his accomplishments. If the only thing that young man did was, oh, you want to be an artist, and he draws his first picture, oh my God, this is amazing. Can you do me another one? This time change this. And kind of guide him through the process, and then eventually start showing him, if you can't find male in the area, get him in, look on YouTube, find YouTube channels, find out when there is something going on that he can be involved in, because he's lacking that role model, but he's also looking for that sense of inclusion into something. He wants to be a part of something. And so
I really wish Chip was here right now, because he was raised by a single mom, and he always champions his manhood and his mother's ability to give it to him. I've asked him that question before, but I did not, he didn't go deep enough for me. He definitely said that she was able to raise a man, but he didn't. I need some more. I'm gonna have to chase him down.
I think it's important to note that, like what Sugar Ray said, was it's almost impossible for a woman to raise a man. Now you might be able to get 1 or 2 out of 1,000 to do it and do it well. They're still going to be missing stuff, but there's no competition to a man or a father in the house. As fathers, one of the things that we're really good at is teaching our children individual deep intrinsic self-value, and also boundary setting. Those are 2 of the most crucial things for growth. So it's not that they can't do it. It's just, it's how would you put it? You can do it, but why would you do half of a job? Right. So it's better to have both parents there, especially if both parents are mentally well and emotionally available. It's a killer combination for a kid who's going to succeed.
Okay. Not to go against what you guys are saying, but then what is the deal with us having this issue, men basically believing that their self-worth is based on being a provider, protector, and sexual conquest? You know, if men are really teaching these values and giving these values to men, how come they're leaving our men empty?
Well, partially, in my personal opinion, is we're teaching girls that that's what they want. They want someone who's a protector and a provider. You got to be 6 foot, so you're a protector. You got to be making 6 figures a year, so now you're a provider. When in reality, that those two things rarely happen together.
Right.
And when they do, those men are gone. They are snatched up by women so fast they'll make your head spin. We're a rare breed. Like, not all of us are providers and protectors. And when all that we look for is people who are provider protectors, we've missed the important part, which is, what's the guy want? Does the man want a healthy and loving relationship where his feelings and his passions are honored and respected? Or is he just a piece of meat to bring home the paycheck, father your kids?
Right.
Because
if that's all you're getting, then
that's
like
all you're going to get.
There are going to be some pitfalls that are going to be there.
Yeah.
Speaking of relationships, let's talk about it, because one of our speakers is going to talk about how past pain can destroy present relationships. You know, once again, before I get out, but not get out of here, but before I move on, I want to say we are here celebrating Men's Health Week. And we're also talking a little bit about what you can expect at the Men's Mental Health Summit on June 18th. 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do not miss it. Do not miss it. Do not miss it. I'm telling you, it is going to blow your socks off. All right, so let's get back to these relationships and how past pain can destroy present relationships. I think it is very true of women and men, but in a different way with men, that they will move on, and I'm doing that in quotations, to another woman physically, but their heart and their mind will still be with the previous woman. And the hurts from that previous woman. Like, they're still like, oh, I can't tell you this because my last girl XXX. Or we can't do this because my last girl XXXX. I really do hear that a lot from guys. I hear that a lot.
I feel like that's a symptom of not wanting to move on.
Yeah. So do you think the person is still hoping for something to work out?
Yes. I think that there's a part of that man that wants that person back.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Coach, I missed the question.
So we are now talking about relationships and how past pain can destroy present relationships. And I just think that that's something that happens. I think that's something that really does happen. That obviously, I think women and men both do this. Okay. At the same time, I think men do it in a particular way where they physically move on, and they're in a full-fledged relationship with another woman physically, but they feel the need to hold the current woman accountable for the past situations where they might not open up as much because they're afraid, because the other woman use though that communication as weaponry, or maybe they won't be as open or as giving. Sometimes there's just, I'm just going to call it residue, relationship residue.
There you go.
That's nice. That sounds nice.
No, I hear what you're saying. You know, both women and men do this. I think this is just a symptom of trauma.
Yeah.
Of betrayal. And, you know, something that you can do in your relationships to try and breed an open relationship is to discuss with your partner, look, hey, my last relationship was absolute garbage. They did this and this. I'm going to try and not allow it to influence our relationship. But if it does, I want you to ask me if I'm okay, because it feels like I'm not being fully open and honest, and that it's okay and that you're a safe person to talk to. Right? That brings them into the relationship, right? It provides you safety and security with your partner. It breeds trust between the two of you. People would be just stupid surprised at how just being honest with your partner increases the success and happiness of your relationships. For example, like for me, it's like if I go home and I tell my wife, hey, I've had a really crappy day, I'm going to go take a nap. She doesn't say anything. She says, okay. Do you want me to wake you up at a certain time? What would you like for dinner? You know what I mean? And then what happens, usually I'll lay there for about an hour. I might fall asleep. And I'll come back out and be like, hey, you know, I want to talk because this is really bugging me and I think you might be able to help me. And I'll talk to her and I'll see if she has any opinions. Even if she doesn't have any solutions, it's, you know, she's a part of that relationship too. And she wants to be a part of it. And she wants to know about your feelings. She has a vested interest in your well-being. You know, but obviously, I mean, if your lady is not respecting your privacy and just telling your friends about all these private, you know, conversations you're having, you got two options. One, kick her ass to the curb and find yourself one that will. Or be honest with her and be like, look, you do that one more time, we're done. Don't betray my trust again. Right? Set your boundary. And if she cleans up, or he, because, I mean, gay men deal with this problem too. If your partner cleans up and says, okay, I'm sorry, it won't happen again, and it never happens again, cool, problem solved. But if they mess up again, it's time to say see you later, because you cannot be in a relationship with someone you can't even trust with your you know, deepest secrets, because why the hell are you there? Because eventually the ass is going to dry up. You know what I mean? Like, sex is eventually going to not be a thing with you. You know, we all get over. And the last thing you want to do is be trapped with a woman that you don't love, you don't care, doesn't respect you, and doesn't honor you, and you don't do the same for her. And so you're just in a really crappy marriage for the last remainder of your life. Nobody wants that.
I agree.
I think we might have full-fledged agreement there. I think, what is that, a mic drop? Is that a mic drop?
Absolutely.
Okay. What about for guys who, you know, don't find it just that easy? Because you'll find that when there are children involved, and I'll just say it this way. This is what I see happening. I see a lot of relationships that are not fully over. You know, a guy has a woman, he has a baby by her, he gets a new woman, he still sometimes sleeps with the baby mom. He's in a new relationship. I mean, the door, you know, there's not clean breaks. There's bonus babies and gap babies, and
those are soul ties. And so if you're in a situation where you're dealing with somebody's soul ties, then I'm of the agreement, you know, the last gentleman, let them go, because I'll go outside a relationship and just go to one of my mentors. Always says it this way. He says go where you celebrate it, not where you tolerate it. If you feel that
I second that now.
Yeah, if you feel that you're an option in any situation, then make the choice easy. It's time to, you know, Get your Beyonce on. To the left, to the left. Everything I own everything you own, a box to the left. Because at that point, you can. Life is about choices. And for me, one of the biggest choices, and I made myself a promise that I'll never compromise it ever again. Is if you are I'm not sacrificing my peace for your pleasure. I'm not sacrificing my peace for your profit. I'm not sacrificing my peace because at the end of the day, once it starts affecting your peace, if you're in a relationship where you don't feel appreciated, then move on. Because they say there's not many people left in this world that are good people. I highly doubt that. There are some amazing people in this world, and they've been hurt as well. So, if you have those open conversations in the very beginning, look, this is something that I am not willing to accept or to tolerate, and it's not because of you, but it's because these are wounds. If someone doesn't respect your wounds or your triggers, and they consistently go after or step on your toes when it comes down to, hey, don't yell, that's the trigger for me, and they continue yelling, or hey, you know what, this person that was around you, I got a bad vibe from them, and they continue doing the same things, they don't respect you as a person. And if they do not respect you, then you have to choose. Am I going to accept this treatment, or am I going to choose me? Sometimes you got to choose you. And when you choose you, look forward. Don't look back. Lot's wife made a mistake in the Bible. She looked back. God said, okay, turn her into salt. Lot was like, time to go find a new wife.
Dang.
That was like the funniest mic drop I've ever heard.
Yes. I
You know what?
it,
y'all got y'all lines going. I'm going to tell you that. Y'all fellas got y'all lines going.
Hey,
okay.
We excited for Saturday, because for everybody that has not already registered or has not made that decision, Saturday at noon Central to join us. Listen, if y'all think this is something, wait until y'all hear what we're all getting ready to drop. I'm just honored to be in the presence of such great men, and that you put this event together so that we have a platform to speak on men's mental health, because it is something that needs to be heard. And so, yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. It is absolutely my pleasure. Going on this journey with you guys has been amazing. It feels like we are at, how you're on a roller coaster and you're getting towards that top point, and it's like click, 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 and you get into that high point, and then you just celebrate, as you go down and you feel all that freedom. But the beautiful thing about this is that we're on a long-term journey. This is the global positive masculinity campaign. So although we're rolling to a high with this summit, we shall keep going. I just cannot say how much I appreciate the partnership that I have experienced with going on to different forums and creating new relationships, and quite honestly, having the opportunity to create business partnerships too. I mean, it's really been a beautiful thing. So I'm very thankful for it. There is so much to look forward to. Let's check this one out. I never wanted to be like my dad. What? That's pretty rough to say.
That's deep.
It is deep. And it's very layered.
I like that. What are you getting out of that where it's very layered? What are you getting out of that?
Because maybe it could be that the dad was abusive, or the dad he didn't know how to show love to their son or their child in general, and that could very much affect people in detrimental ways, because that could mean, oh, I could say that my father never loved me, or I could say that my father wasn't there for me. And it could be that, oh, maybe my father didn't know how to express love in the way that I needed it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's somewhere within those two. I think it could be found in those two categories, to where like I didn't know, I wasn't loved in the way I needed, or they didn't know how to love me.
Yeah, I've talked about this. My father was emotionally unavailable and had a really short temper, and I didn't want to be anything like him. And it wasn't until later on in my life where I realized it's because that's how he was taught to be a father. And I didn't want to be like that. I wanted to be a loving, caring, open father. And, it had a deep impact on my life. Eventually I got, emotional and mental health care and help. And I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And then I finally became my own man on my own terms. And I became the father that I wanted to have. And that's not to say that my father wasn't a great father, but he wasn't given the tools that I had access to. And I would be a damn fool if I didn't take advantage of that.
Yep.
So what you wanted something different from your dad, and he just didn't have it.
Right. He just didn't have the tools. He wasn't taught how to be emotionally available to his kids, because he was taught that that's not what dads are for. That's what moms are for.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is that breeds men who are emotionally distant, emotionally unavailable, incapable of dealing with certain things throughout life, decreasing opportunities for connection with your own children, just so many things that you're missing out when you don't connect with your children emotionally. It's just, yeah, I can't recall ever a time in my life that I felt an emotional connection with my father, but that doesn't mean I don't love him and that I don't appreciate everything that he did and sacrificed for me. Absolutely, I do. I respect the man immensely, but I do wish I would have had an emotional connection with my father.
So let me ask you this. Is it masculine to be emotional? Is that masculine?
I think it's masculine to be emotional, but have it under control.
Mm-hmm.
People look towards men because a man who's out of control is a scary man. We don't know what you're capable of doing. We don't know what you're capable of doing. We need you to have your shit together. So when we see a man crying or losing his collective shit, we are keeping our eyeball on that dude because we don't know what he's capable of doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Because men are capable of an immense amount of damage. Like we can blow up the world if we really needed to. And so we gotta have that in rein. You know what I mean? We gotta rein that in, and we gotta be able to control it. So being emotional, however, does not preclude us from being human. Like we can be human beings. We can cry. We can tough through it. You know what I mean? We can. Like I've been on numerous podcasts where I've cried. My podcast with 𝐂𝐤𝐳, I cried on there, but I will defy anyone to tell me that I'm not a man for crying.
Right.
You know what I mean? And to cry is not weakness. To be emotional is not weakness. It's weakness to not acknowledge those feelings. And we need to start embracing men's ability. Well, I should say we need to start embracing men's humanity.
That's my big thing. You just hit my nail on the head.
Yeah.
I need for men to be embraced as full-fledged humans and not just these, not just these things.
Yeah.
Right. We're so much more than that. You know, I'm a father. I'm a caregiver. I protect and defend my family because I love them. I have my own issues with things in life, and I share those with my son so that he can learn from me. When my son's having a hard day, I connect with him on an emotional level so that he realizes that he's not alone in the world, that he doesn't have to be alone in the world just because he's a man. Like, it's okay to have these feelings. We are human beings. It's a natural course of life to have an emotional response to things that are happening in our lives. You know, we're not machines, even though society would rather tell you you are. We're not. And we deserve to be loved. We deserve to be seen and loved for the people that we are, not for the people you think we should be.
Right. I think in recent years it's become more okay for men to express how emotional they are, because mental health has become more acceptable. And so in that, we've figured out more way. I feel like men have uh, become more okay with expressing emotion and figuring out, oh, hey, I'm not
Absolutely.
okay. I need to figure out what is going on with me. And so in that, I think we're starting to heal.
Absolutely. The hard part is coming after we're given permission to be emotional. Like, what do we do after that? Right? How do we collectively maintain our masculinity once we do cry? Right? Because that is something that a lot of men are concerned about, and that's why they keep quiet and they don't do anything for their mental health, because they are scared of what they will become after. They are afraid that they will lose their masculinity once they crack.
All right.
I think that it is so interesting that we're boiling it down to this idea of crying. As if somehow, if a man drops a tear, he's going to lose all masculinity.
That's all it takes. One tear.
There isn't. Okay. If a lion, we know animals cry sometimes. Animals cry. If a lion as king of the jungle shed tears, is he no longer king of the jungle? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you provide a very interesting argument. If you are in an area where you are constantly at battle with others around you, you do not have the luxury of being able to cry. Some places it's like, you and I both know Wolf, and he's from the hood, and he's like, you don't cry in front of your guys. That's a sign of weakness. You don't do that. Right. So if you're constantly in a state of battle or a constant state of anxiety, you don't have the luxury of that. That's a point where we need to start working on.
Right. I think I'm tracking with you, because for me, it seems unhealthy that a man cannot experience the full range of humanity and still not be considered a man. Like, I just believe that a man should be able to experience everything associated with being human and still be a man.
So I think we all agree. I can't speak for everybody, but I'll agree with you. But I'll say it this way. And there's a post that's been going around recently, and it's so true. I think Johnny Depp won his court case about being abused as a man, and usually abuse, when it comes to male female relationships, women don't abuse men physically. That would be out of order, because obviously, most men are stronger than most women. So that's not the case. But what they do is they'll play with your mind. And then if you look at If you look at what happened with Will Smith, when he cried because he was on the Red Table Talk with his wife sitting there. We gonna with Jada sitting there saying that she had these extramarital affairs. I'm not gonna call him. Yeah. He sat there with tears coming down his face, and he became a meme. He became a meme. What everybody was laughing at. You know, oh, he's soft. He's not this. He's not that. When he allowed that frustration to finally blow up inside of him, and he slapped the mess out of Chris Rock. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, he's just a horrible man." This is the same dude that
he's
brought
emotional.
us Parents Just Don't Understand, that brought us the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, that brought us Summertime, that we still play at every family reunion because it's that song.
Hell yeah.
That brought us all these amazing movies and actually took the story of Venus and Serena's father and turned him into a real character so that people can understand the man instead of understanding the outburst that he had. And so when you ask why is it that men don't feel like, well, you know, you're allowed to cry, because when we do it around others, there's no sensitivity given for men. Suck it up.
Right.
Be a man. What do you that ain't cool. In certain circles,
that's weak.
Yeah. In certain circles, if you're around other men, then yeah, you can probably let it out. Again, I say the term men, meaning men who are accepting of their masculinity, who understand, who walk in their masculinity, as genuine men. Then yeah, you can let it out. But if you're in the wrong circle, you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, then you get looked at as weak, and then you have to fight through that sign of weakness, because now you have, as a kid growing up, I used to get picked on because my first name is Sugar. My literal first name is Sugar. And now it's like, oh, that's such a cool name. No, it wasn't cool growing up.
Right.
in urban areas, growing up in the hood, because I had to fight for it. I had to earn that respect. And yeah, there were times that I brought myself to tears. But during those times that I brought myself to tears, guess what? Now I had to fight harder, because I got to prove that, oh, Sugar doesn't mean gay. Sugar means that that's your name.
Right.
Like
Sugar don't mean sweet.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're not sweet. Like now I'm 6'7", so I don't get teased the same way that I used to when I was younger. And these kids had older brothers and sisters that were bigger than me that I would have to fight because I just beat they behind for talking noise. But there's certain things like, yeah, we want to experience the full gambit of emotions that everybody has access to. But when you, as a man, tap into certain emotions in the wrong place at the wrong time, you're looked at as weak, you're looked at as soft, you're looked at as sweet, you're looked at as so many different things. And unfortunately, the world that we live in is very unforgiving. And so if you're not, like nowadays, I'm 44. I can look at a youngster that's ready to fight and say, you know what? We good, man. I ain't trying to prove nothing to you. If you say you right, you right. But what I am going to tell you is that you better than that. Whereas when I was younger, I would put those hands up because I didn't want to be seen as a punk. I didn't want to be seen as soft or as weak. But you have to grow into that level of maturity as men, in order to understand their burden of what they consider masculinity doesn't have to be yours. I can cry in certain situations, but I still won't allow myself to cry around certain people. No matter how strong and how tough I am as a man, there's still certain no-fly zones, so to speak.
Wow, you said no fly zones.
Yeah.
Because you think that person is not responsible enough to honor you or respect you if they see you cry.
Yeah. There's certain certain situations. One recently that no matter how much I hurt, I couldn't let tears drop because that person's definition of a man was not in cohesion with what a man is. And so, in order for this distorted view of reality to, like, there were some painful moments, but they weren't able to be released. And then there's other situations where, even though I am tougher now, I still don't want to have to beat somebody's ass for.
Right. That's a good point. That's so real.
Like I'm holding it back to protect you. In other words.
That's real.
Okay, 6'7". All right, Mr. 6'7". That's my goodness gracious. My goodness gracious. I just noticed this whole idea of a man crying is I don't know. It seems to trip men up. It trips men up a lot. And what I'm hearing is it might be this particular idea that surface relationships create a silent security threat. Okay, because if you're only a chest bump with a guy and you guys, hey man, how you doing? Hey man, how you doing? Y'all talk. I'm gonna call it that man talk that you guys say, and you don't even say anything.
You don't have to.
You don't have to. Okay, that's the whole thing. You don't have to. You may spend hours upon hours with a guy every week. And y'all don't say anything. You're not close at all.
I don't think that it's we're not close. I think that there's an understanding. Let me use an example. There was a man that passed my school almost every day, and eventually we started saying hi to each other. And from there, I introduced myself, he introduces himself, and eventually we became friends. And it was only because he passed my school every day and we would see each other, we would acknowledge each other. And it was just that simple. Like, it was just a small interaction, like, hey, how are you? How you doing? Or even before then, there was just a head nod. And there was just an understanding of, hey, we pass each other every day. We may not say anything, but we acknowledge that each other is there.
So I think that describes a productive situation where people are moving towards one another. I guess what I'm looking at is a different kind of situation to where your buddy, your brother, your cousin, they're going through something, and although they spend time with you, they don't feel like they can talk to you. They don't feel like they can come to you with the deep things of their life. That's what I'm talking about. And I think it's good. You're two strangers, so you had developed a level of honor and respect and connection by not really saying anything. But then to flip it over, I think it's more common where fellas get together and they don't connect when they should. They don't say, "Hey, man, I lost my job, or I filed for bankruptcy. I feel like, you know, my woman's cheating on me, or I've started drinking really heavily. I'm using a lot of escapism. I started smoking, weed heavily, or I tried crack the other night, or I feel like I'm going to commit suicide, or I'm feeling more anxious and violent than I used to, or I find myself sitting in the car alone by myself for hours on end before I even go into the house, and I don't want to talk to nobody. I mean, there's no expression of the trouble and the concern when there should be.
Yeah, it boils down to trust.
Mm-hmm.
Before a man is able to open up to anyone, and it's not just another man, but especially another man. I'm not going to open up to another man about a female in my life if I don't know that dude,
Mm-hmm.
because the whole time I might be sitting there telling you the things that's going on in my relationship, and you sitting there looking at pictures of me and the woman like, oh, she fine, she cute. Oh, bro, you know what? You don't even need to be around her. She ain't. You have to learn how to scope people out before, and then just the situation of passing the guy at school every day.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you get a chance to recognize someone, and that familiarity brings about a familial feel.
Right.
And once
A
that
sense of
familiar,
security.
yeah, it builds that security and that trust. And then more conversations begin to happen. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you think about it, nobody, well, I can't say nobody. Most of us, our best friend didn't just appear. And it's like, hey, so let me tell you about that one time at band camp that things went all wrong for me.
Mm.
Let me tell you about the time that, I found my parents in the room having sex. And let me tell you about the one time that I didn't feel comfortable around this complete stranger. Those types of barriers have to be broken beforehand. You have to get a chance to know that the person that you are talking to or opening up to is someone that you can trust. Because again,
Absolutely.
nobody wants to have that trust betrayed, because now not only do you have other people that have betrayed your trust, but you also have a new person that adds to that level of, see, this is why I don't trust nobody. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to scope out, especially as men. There's certain people I can have certain conversations with. I'm not going to my bro cousin and tell them about my $1 million idea.
Right.
He's gonna be, man, you sure you want to try that? Man, why don't you just go ahead and get you a job, fam? Like I don't even know why you would try to do something like that. What if it fails? And then if I had that same conversation with somebody on the other end who's already made $1 million or a few million, and I say, look, this is what I'm trying to do, they'll say, oh, we can get you there.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with a relationship. If I'm talking to someone about relationships, I don't want to talk to somebody that's not in one. I damn
Mm-hmm.
sure don't want to listen to somebody who calls themselves a who says that they do relationships, but they're single.
Or
That
someone that's jaded.
There you go.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a big one. You don't want to talk to somebody who's jaded.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and also it's wise for men to understand that you don't give all your trust to one person at all at the same time. You have to feel people out. Everybody is deserving of a certain level of trust, and it's okay if they don't have the top tier level of trust, because there's some friends that I can trust with, this thing, and there's friends that I can't trust with this thing. You know what I mean? But I can trust them with that thing.
Right.
Each one of my friends has a certain level of trust that I feel comfortable with, but that doesn't mean that they're all just trustworthy, right? Because they don't have my most upper level of trust. It just means I'm smart about who I trust. I'm smart about who I give my information to,
Absolutely.
and men need to learn how to do that. You don't just meet a guy and you become really good friends, and all of a sudden you're telling them everything. Hell no. You give them pieces. You let them. You take your time and see what you can trust them with.
Right. You got to ease in.
Right. You got to tell them something that don't necessarily hurt, you, but it's private. You know what I mean? And then you see if all the other guys find out about it. And if none of the other guys find out about it, you give your friend a little bit more and a little bit more until you start to hear it. And then you know that's where the level is. You know what I mean? But you don't be stupid and give it, you know, anybody that walks into your life your full level of trust. I mean, that's just silly and reckless.
Yeah. And
that's good advice.
I heard it a different way. Great friend of mine said if you want to see if you can trust somebody, tell them a lie. Tell only them the lie and see if it comes back to you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was it.
I would say that's very strategic. That's what I would say. That's very strategic.
Yeah, we playing chess, not checkers.
Right. But also, you have to know that you have to play chess so that you could feel it out and figure out your next move.
Yeah.
Be very strategic. You know, fellas, this has been truly amazing. It's only made me look forward to this Saturday even more. That's what this has done for me. I'm so thankful to be celebrating Men's Health Week with you guys. And that it's put, you know, we put it on people's radar. I think a lot of people don't even know about it.
I didn't know about it.
Well, we just got to start spreading the word harder.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you for sure, everybody in my circle of influence is going to know about it, period. And I hope the same happens for you, you know.
Absolutely.
I'm sharing it on all my platforms because I think this is going to be a really amazing day, of really amazing conversations, and I'm really excited. Not to mention, I'm excited to hear and learn from other men, about their perspectives and their experience. And even more so, I'm excited for the audience, because one of the things that really impacted me when I started reading Warren Farrell was it was the first time in my life where I kind of looked at myself and I was like, holy shit. I thought I'm no longer alone. I thought I was the only person that thought about things this way, and I'm not. And then I started to realize a lot of other men feel the same way I do about a lot of things that I never knew about. So I'm really excited for the audience to be able to hear these conversations too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is gonna be an amazing summit with so many powerful men sharing. And just like you said, if you're tuned in right now, then make sure that you share the flyer. Make sure that you're sharing the content. Share those videos, because there are tons of men's lives that need to be changed or need to be impacted. And so, just like you said, there's a lot of things that we as men go through, and we go through it alone because we don't have that safe space. Women, as I said before, women will, something is going on in a woman's life. Oh, girl, listen, come on, we're gonna do you a makeover. We're gonna have us a wine and sip party. We're gonna go and listen. You bring your kids over here. You go have you a girls' night out. Whatever you need to do, fellas. Most of the time, we going through something. It's like, dang, bro, like that.
Yeah, if we're lucky, we'll drink a beer and say nothing.
Oh, wow.
That's real.
This is that.
Okay, that is what I am saying. That is what I am saying. That is what I'm saying right here. Hold on 1 second. That is exactly what I'm saying with this one. That right there. When something needs to be said and it's not said, leaving someone to fill in the blanks with their own thoughts. And most of the time, what people make up is not good. whether it's what they think about the relationship or what they think about themselves or what they feel that you think about them. That's exactly what I'm talking about right there.
And sometimes that just needs to be said outright, especially with men, because we suck at hints, or at least I do.
We all do, dude. We all do.
Don't give me a hint. Tell me the truth.
Right. Tell it to me straight.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I will not pick it up.
You know that pretty red dress? You remember when we passed? No, I wasn't even looking. I was not even looking.
There's a reason why. What was her name on Scooby-Doo? The chicken orange. She was always the one figuring out all the mysteries, man. It's because the dudes couldn't pick up nothing.
Right. That's Velma, by the way.
Yeah, Velma.
Yeah, thank you, Thelma. I kept wanting to say Daphne, but that wasn't Daphne. I couldn't remember her name.
Daphne was the one with the orange hair.
Yeah,
Velma was the smart one.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yet you guys remember that. Goodness gracious.
And there's I mean, I like smart women. That's why.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
Come on, yeah.
That's why I remember Velma.
Sapiosexual.
But case in point, she was always the one figuring stuff out, and all the other guys couldn't pick up a clue if they tried.
Absolutely.
You know, men. You know, this is something for the ladies. Don't assume that your man is a mind reader. He's not. Chances are, when it comes to that, he's a moron.
Absolutely.
Tell him the truth.
Absolutely.
Be open. Just tell him to his face. Don't be dropping hints. Don't be doing tests, because we're gonna fail every single one of them.
Yep.
Just don't be playing like that either. That's some adolescent shit. That's some childish crap. Don't do that. Just be a grown ass person and talk to us. Right. We will respect you for that, and you will gain our respect and our admiration. So don't dance around. Just talk to us. Let us know what you're feeling.
Absolutely, because I was not a straight A student. So anything that you want me to pick up, you're gonna have to tell it to me a few times for me to understand.
Exactly. And it's not because we don't care.
No.
But it's because we just don't pick up on those clues like that.
Right.
Yeah, perfect example. The thing that bothers you, we were taught to hide.
Wait a minute, say that again.
I said the things that you were taught to talk about, we were taught to hide.
Yep.
Okay.
So if you got some feelings, guaranteed if we had those same feelings, we wouldn't be talking about it. So you need to tell us that that's what you're thinking about, because we were always taught to hide those emotions. We were always taught to hide those feelings. So we won't be picking up on the fact that you're feeling them.
Okay. I can accept
those
that.
emotions, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I can accept that for sure. Gentlemen, all I can do is say thank you. I am excited. Family, stay tuned. Make sure you show up at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on June 18th. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, or some or Africa, that part of the world, it'll actually be the 19th. Google will, fix it for you. Or if you hit the reminder button, YouTube will actually translate your time. So click the notification. That's what it is. Click the notification button, and then you will be able to tune in live, because I keep getting that question of like, what time is it where I am? That's too hard for me. Let us use our computers to transpose that time. They're much better at it than I am.
That's why they're there.
Exactly. Family, I am going to bid you adieu. Thank you for announcing and helping more people understand that this is Men's Health week starting today. It is International Men's Health Week. It's been Men's Health Month all month. And we have this fabulous Men's Summit coming up on June 18th. I cannot wait. I shall see you then. Bye-bye for now.
Bye, y'all.